As soon as she comes back, we'll roll. We good? All right. I'd like to open up this council meeting, reschedule from yesterday to now February 8th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. First item.
Is roll call. Counselor Albert.
Will not be here.
Okay. Excused. Counselor Kobe.
Here.
Counselor Crawford.
Here.
Counselor Lunt.
Here.
Counselor Ward.
Here.
Counselor Crafts.
Here.
And Counselor Brunel.
Here.
Go for it.
Good news and recognition.
Does anybody have anything? I'd like to thank everybody that actually made the reschedule with success to be able to get to this point. It's been a moving target to actually put it and keep it on the agenda. I will say the discussion associated with the comm center, we will have that at our next town council meeting. The arrangement with the councilors that I made to get to this point tonight was that if any one of us couldn't be here, we would defer that discussion. So if anybody would like to voice their opinion on the public session when it comes up, feel free to do so, but the council discussion will be at our next meeting. Anything else for good news? Keep moving.
All right. Under audience participation and response for agenda items, those in the audience who wish to address the council may come forward.
Anyone? Seeing none, moving right along.
The consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Items removed from the agenda will be considered next. Seeing none, Order 2017-18 to approve the accounts payable and payroll warrants number 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, and 102, along with the minutes of January 10 and January 17.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next item, 12.
Under council orders, ordinances, and resolutions, Order 2017-19, an ordinance for the fee schedule amendment. This is the first reading. A roll call vote would be required.
Okay.
Just every year we go through the fee schedule and make any updates. This year, what we've done is we've added all the fees that's associated with the rec department. They've never been in the fee schedule, so there's no change there. It's just adding them to the fee schedule. And then that's on page 22 through 24. And then on page 27 and 28, you'll see some changes under public works. They're not changes in the amount. Well, yeah, I guess there is one change in an amount, but it's all verbiage. And those are the only differences in the fee schedule that staff is recommending at this time.
I don't remember doing this last year, so if you don't mind, I'd be willing to entertain questions throughout the content just to have you be able to field them, or if the department has a specific feedback on it, just to put our head around it. When was the last time the fee schedule was
We did it,
updated or overhauled?
I think it was February of last year, and it was when we were doing the only change we did last year was, pretty sure it was last year. The flea market, you remember that one?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the only thing that we did differently last year, that I recall.
Okay. I remember that discussion because it was
That
kind
was
of
all around.
blowback from the
Yep.
prior year, just resetting and addressing that.
In my first year when I came here, I guess just prior to me coming to work here, the department heads had gone through the fee schedule and made several updates all the way through it. And then we just look at it annually to make any further updates.
Okay. Okay.
So no dollar amounts have been changed?
The only dollar amount on this one was on page 28, and it's the wood per yard was at $10, but I guess what we really do is $5. That's the only amount that's been changed, and then 4 feet in length per yard, they crossed out the $10. On page
Okay.
28. That's the only change.
Right in that section, note reference to yards shall mean cubic yards, no cash will be transferred in the yards for item, only punch cards. What does that mean? I've never seen a punch card.
I guess they do have cash transfers. Oh, reference to yards shall mean cubic card.
Marcel just usually writes you
I'm
a
not
slip.
sure.
Right.
Somebody pays in and out.
Yeah, but that's still a receipt in cash. I don't understand what a punch card is. In Lewiston, there's no cash exchange. You buy everything through here, and then you get it when you go to the garage.
I think what
you
they
actually
used
punch
to
it
have,
off.
they used to have a card system that you would come down here and pay for a card, and then if they went up there to dispose of something, they would punch the card. I don't believe that that's happening now.
That should probably be removed.
Can we strike the second
Strike
sentence?
that? Yep, we
Yeah,
can do
I
that.
just did. It stood off the page as what is that? I've never even seen it. So
We ought to strike that whole, starting with no cash will be transferred in the yard.
Right.
items.
right,
Then.
that's where I was going with that. Thank you, Diane.
Yep.
Back on page 5, the handout, page 21 of the packet. I'm sorry, those are fairly consistent. I cross-referenced them looking at what Lewiston charges, those are comparable. And the one question I had was replacement cost, and it's the last bullet point, so we're good on that one. Page 22. Had just a general question to Mark. Does that include the minimum wage discussion that we had from our previous workshop, those fees?
This would be page 6 then.
6,
That's
Mark.
page 6.
Yeah, when it gets into your specific camps and that type of whatnot.
That does not include any adjustments to the minimum wage.
I guess the pointed question before we approve this is, are you looking at potentially changing any of these based on that conversation we had at the workshop?
I haven't met with Diane yet. Tomorrow would be our first budget meeting.
Okay.
We'll have that discussion tomorrow. I don't know.
I would afford you the discretion to be able to do so and bring it back to us because of that discussion. And that was kind of where I was going with it. I didn't want your hands tied for something we're approving and just to have it come back if that isn't actually realistic. Lisbon Fitness Center, we could just make that as per month. That one stands off as well.
So you're
And
adding the words per month?
I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Same thing for the senior citizens, the $10.
Yeah, thank you. And I had the same question mark, page 7. Is there any reason that flag football isn't comparable with the others at the $35 rate? Or is it just based on what's actually needed to be provided?
Based on flag football, has no flags.
Yep.
Get into the second up through 8th grade, they have helmets, full pads, the expensive.
Right. Right. Okay. Is there an out-of-town residence fee? Is that somewhere spelled out that isn't in this document?
It should be in there. Non-resident fee, $16 per month, or a year per family. Not per month, but per year per family.
Okay, so 15 to come in, and then you're able to participate in fall, spring, whatever program associated with that. Okay. I'm comfortable with that. Feel free. I know I'm monopolizing the conversation, guys, so if you have anything, jump in. Have we ever done anything at your room rentals associated with janitorial fee, or do you get into that for cleanup for somebody renting the facility?
We don't actually associate a cleanup fee. We have, the MTM board years ago, in 2004, 2005, established fees,
Yep.
which was rental fees for the gymnasium and the classroom. And those fees are, based on what we felt was comfortable with, our maintenance people come in and empty trash cans and things like that. But, comparatively speaking to other community centers, Williston, Auburn, we charge quite a bit less, and it's under market. We don't really advertise either, by word of mouth.
Right. Are you comfortable with what the MTM board has actually done to be realistic for this go-around on that subject then?
We changed recently, probably about 2 years ago, we went from $5 an hour for classrooms to 10,
Right.
because we hadn't changed anything in 10 years, and we went from $10 an hour to the gym, $20 an hour.
So you adjusted the fee accordingly associated to that. And I agree, because, once you start actually getting closer to what other comparable communities would be, then the expectation level for what you're able to provide goes up as well, too. And then your costs start creeping and everything else, too, so it's just it's a double-edged sword. Okay. I'm comfortable with that, too, Mark. Sanitary sewers, Brian, is there anything on any of that we might want to defer this discussion till after the workshop next week?
Yeah, we didn't make any changes in that section based on workshop and stuff like that.
Perfect. Parking permits, Main Street. Why is that standing up the page, and how many people do we have impacted by that?
I have no idea.
Who would be able to speak to that at all? Do we have anybody that actually pays for a monthly parking spot on the east side of Main Street?
Not that we know of. Not that I know of.
Can we strike?
Want us to just strike it?
Yeah.
Can we strike something that doesn't make any sense? Page 13.
Yeah,
Parking permits. I'm reading additional permits for owners, all-day parking, monthly, and then 24-hour parking for residents. If we're not dealing in any of that type of business, I would strike it to make it more realistic.
Is it this whole section?
Yeah, right down to where it kicks in for the fees that chief has to enforce for
be
parking violations.
5048B.
Yes,
Yeah.
that entire section.
5048.
so, just so you know, because it's referencing another number, that means we'll have to make a change probably in another ordinance.
That's okay. This is a first reading on that, and we'll bring that up. And that'll have to go through a first reading and then second reading process, too. But if it's redundant, it's redundant. I'm willing to sit through that.
So, okay, so you're gonna do everything,
Yeah, delete
remember 5321 as well?
No, I think that actually,
That's
I'm not
parking
mistaken.
violations.
I think that relates to something the chief would have to
Regular
get into. The only thing that I had in that section is I don't understand why hazard to a public is less of an offense than any other pricing on that page, but that's beside me. I would make the recommendation to actually put that at $30 with the rest of them out there.
We can do that.
Because it seems to me that if you're in a no parking, you're blocking a driveway, you are a hazard to the public, and it should be the same fee.
Go Alan.
Sorry. And the last ones I had was, do we have do we have to adopt a bad check fee? And is that in this?
No, but that might be somewhere else.
Is it under administration? It sounds like that would be an administration piece.
want us to add that, Alan, under administration, bad check fee?
I think it just, someplace to formalize it, just so somebody doesn't actually squawk it, something that's an administrative, just covering yourself on that. Is the, do we do photocopies here? Is that price listed in this document as well?
Yeah, it's like 50 cents.
Yep.
And then there's like, I think it's like $2 for front and back. Oh, sorry, faxes are $2. One-sided is 50. Two-sided is 75 cents.
I would dispute that, and the fact is, it's 50 cents a page myself, because the front and back, it's 2 pages, in my view. That's the way that it's usually done, but at least it's formalized. I just wanted to make sure that it was consistent across the board, because having gone through this in my work experience, it was easy to find that it was not the same price depending on which department you talk to. And the last one that I had is, Chief, do we actually have any call for accident reports coming through you? And is there a fee for that?
They don't come to us any longer, we use an outside source.
So it's whatever they're charging, so we don't have to deal on it. That's the easier way to address that. Good. I like that. Did anybody else find anything going through the content?
Do you still want to have the first reading, or do you want to wait till after Mark and I?
I think there's enough moving parts with Mark and the sewer discussion that I'd like to actually be able to afford those to be in that same dialogue. So I would put that off until
Okay.
the 21st meeting as well, if you don't mind.
Yep, not a problem.
I just know the reason this one was on our agenda was loosely related to the goals to be able to cover that coming into the budget season. So I think the best information would be the best approach. Next item then.
I think Don has a question.
Sure.
I was just looking at site plans and subdivisions.
Thank you.
Which page is it on?
Well, it's my page 13 is subdivision. Site plans, whatever.
Page 10 or 26?
Site plan,
Page 26.
Yep, we're with you, Don.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I think that someone ought to confer with Dennis, because in some of the subdivision cases, it looks to me like a town's not getting what it should for subdivision development, especially when you consider individual dwellings on lots, and there's nothing even in here on the subdivision for that. Whereas a lot of residential lots, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
You might want to at least discuss it with him.
Would you be willing to sit in on that too? Could you make that happen?
I'm not sure what you changed exactly,
But at least he hears your perspective to be able to vet it, to go through the process. I don't know if he would be inclined to go up or down, but at least you're getting the input in the process. Absolutely.
I just remember him saying a couple of times, well, this is all it is, so,
Right.
Which one are you talking? Both of them?
Site plan is- yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
because in some subdivisions, when you do subdivisions, you don't do individual site plans, and you miss a lot of things that would, if it was 25 individual site plans, that'd be another thing.
If you could just set that up, it was brought forward to be able to do it. I think it makes sense to at least consider it. Anything else? All right. moving-
I do. To register your dog, how often
That's annual, right? January?
it is? Why is it?
state
Why is it $100? No, I'm
That's the
These
list.
fees or barking dogs or something else? Where is that page?
What page?
This is page 2. Ours is page 18.
Page 2.
Page 2 of page 18. Page
For us-
2 of
that's-
page
for us-
18.
For
Oh,
I
us,
don't
that's
know what
it's
you're
18.
looking at.
That's a dog
That
owner list.
hundred-
For us,
is
the
a-
dog owner list.
Right, that's if you wanted to purchase a list of all the dog owners.
Oh,
And then we have to strike
I
out
didn't-
anything that's
I don't like
confidential.
that.
yeah,
So
just,
That's-
and you have to register your dog, right? No?
I went looking for that one in Lewiston. I didn't see that one anywhere. So there's obviously it was a request somewhere along the way. But again, is it relevant?
Similar to Topsums.
Is it?
Yeah, when we get the request, we were getting a couple a year. It's, to redact all the confidential information is quite lengthy, so
Staff has to go through and cross out stuff.
Okay.
to find them all.
Okay.
So if they're requesting it, what type of information are they getting then?
They want to send out, for some companies that do grooming and those sorts of things, they find those lists very helpful to mail out advertisements. That's what-
And they have to be updated. That's why it costs so much.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Next item, Twyla.
Right. Order 2017-20, the 2017 Speed Enforcement and Equipment Grant.
Evening, Mark Hagan, Chief of Police. So, Maine Bureau of Highway Safety has released their 2017 Speed Enforcement and Equipment Grant. Lisbon's already been pre-approved based on accident statistics. We've been pre-approved for $2,239.65. So with that goes that money can be used towards overtime for officers to run speed enforcement. Pretty basic. And also with that is we would be reimbursed for up to $2,000 towards a new radar unit, which we are in dire need of. I should tell you there is a 20% match. However, what the state does is they use anything over the 2,000 towards the radar unit. The radar unit's just under 2,200. So they would use that 200 plus what they consider administrator time for us to write the grants and just make up the schedule. So they use that towards the match. So there's actually no match that we have to come up with. So we would like to apply for and accept the money. And the reason I throw them both in there is because we've been pre-approved. Basically, I have paperwork on my desk in hopes that you would approve this. I sign it, send it off tomorrow, and they're going to accept it right away, and we could start using the money immediately. We want to use this. This is enough money for us to run 11 4-hour speed enforcement grants. So we would like to apply for and accept the money.
I like the way you crafted that because I don't like actually having to give you permission to go out for a grant and then accept the award too. So all in one is something I'm a fan of. So
Otherwise, you'd see me back here in a couple of weeks.
no,
and
it's
nobody wants that, right?
Yeah.
So
no sense in
I'll make a
doing
motion.
I'll second it.
that. We're good. All in favor? Thank you.
Order passed,
Thank you.
6-0.
Oh, thank you.
Next item.
Order 2017-21, forfeited assets.
basically what this is the town had planned on using $33,000 towards the purchase of our new vehicle and the upfitting. The price actually came out a little higher than that. The price to get the new cruiser upfitted came out to, where's my number here, $37,493. So we're basically shy, roughly $4,500. What I'm asking, and I should tell you, the reason that's a little higher than what everybody expected is this was the last Crown Victoria that we're getting rid of, and with that, none of the equipment from the Crown Victoria fits into the new cruisers. So we had to purchase all new equipment. So that's why the price is a little higher than what everybody had originally planned on. So what we'd like to do is use $4,500, take that from our forfeited asset account, and put that towards the purchase of the car and the equipment. Basically, the forfeited assets can be used towards anything that's directly towards drug enforcement. Obviously, our frontline cruisers out there making the stops this is how we've been receiving the forfeited assets by the drug forfeitures that we receive. So we can straight face the request. It's not an issue if the federal government checked it. So we're just asking that we be able to move that money towards this.
I make the motion.
I second.
The amount's $45.93.
These guys are on it. Okay.
You're on it.
6-0?
Favor.
Yep, all in favor, good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-22, authorization to solicit bids for town branding and website design.
Good evening. Sorry for my cold. I'm Tracy Stuber, Economic and Community Development Director. As you know, in our previous workshop, one thing we want to be able to do is really brand Lisbon. This is going to help as far as bring people to the community, give us a name, also a new website that would be easier for folks to access and maneuver, which is the ultimate goal, and be able to use it throughout all of the departments. So all of the departments are consistent with everything that we do, professional within letterheads and in everything that has our mark on it. So I'm asking permission to solicit bids for this wonderful project.
Remind me, how much of it was set aside from the budget process?
We had set aside $10,000 in the initial, and I'm not sure how the bids are going to come in, but, you know, I might be coming back as far as the council within the new budget, and if we had to add some more money to help with that. The idea of it is we want quality. You know, we've got a lot of great things happening in this community. We're getting recognized everywhere that I go out and about in other communities. They know all of the good things that's happening here, especially with our grants and our other projects. So we definitely want to get our name on the map. And this hasn't been done previously.
Do we have any indication on how much of that is website versus branding?
It's really going to depend. The idea of the website is once you have the website, then they would have to become the host of the website as well. So there'll be an additional type of fee, and we pay that now as far as for hosting. Right. I mean, that's an annual fee that you pay. It really is going to depend on the company that, you know, the consultant that's going to do the work. Within the RFP, everything will be outlined as far as what we're looking for. We're also going to be looking for the company to work with the community as well, so the community will have input on that. So we'll be having meetings, you know, and getting other people's input as far as on what they foresee within the community, and then have them put everything together and do a full presentation as we roll it out. And sometimes it can take, you know, up to 6 months. And sometimes it can even be more, but quality is the key. And if Diane, you got anything you want to add?
I got no issue with the bid process. My issue would be is if the bids come in $25,000, and now we're looking for 15, where it was something that came through the budget. I'd love to try to live in the dooryard of what we actually approved, and I know you probably would too. So I'm inclined to set it there and see if we can't put the RFP together to actually come up with a quality project within the constraints of what we put out there for bidding, is the way that I would phrase it, I guess. I need a motion.
Make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
6-0.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Even 10 seems high. I mean, for at least the web, I don't know. As far as the website design, I mean, these companies, I feel, get overpaid for how little effort it takes to design something. I mean, transferring content, yeah, creativity, all that, yeah, maybe that may factor in, but I do know they charge a lot.
Right. No, I that was what my kind of where I was going with how much of it's the town web page versus the branding,
Right, yeah.
which I think would be the bigger goal associated with the project, for sure.
I was just going to say, keep in mind that we are asking for a dual. I mean, you're right. Agencies out there, they do get paid a lot of money to do that, but they're putting in all of the efforts and doing a lot of the work. I mean, I've done some marketing stuff, and I can create, you know, things on my own, but I can spend many hours doing it. So it's the idea of having that quality when you're looking for something. And, you know, again, it really depends on how they're going to come in. I mean, you could see something that can cover it under 10. It could be 20. I mean, you don't really know. It's going to depend on the different companies that we get. So we'll just have to put it out and see what we have, and see what we get in, and see if somebody can work within, our means. But again, it's really, having something that we can hold on to and continue on for years. Because you're looking at, within the Brandon, it's just, you're looking at that tagline, you're looking at something that you see, and you know that it's that community. I mean, everybody has their little niche, and it's time that Lisbon has their own. It's because we already have that. I mean, we have that a lot within our recreation programs and within the trail, and there's are a lot of different things going on, again, especially with all the other projects that we're doing. So this is a good time to have us not so much as be in the middle of the LA area or the Thompson, Brunswick area, but have Lisbon stand on its own.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-23, authorization to solicit bids for the CDBG Downtown Revitalization Streetscape Project.
Woohoo! This has been in the 2 years making. I did make you some larger copies because I know those little 8.5 by 11s are a little difficult to see. Even with my eyes, I can't see them. As you notice, there were some changes made within the work. And this all comes from a public meeting that we had as well. So Mandy Alver with Alver Associates has been our engineer on this project. We've also been working with the property owners as well in what we want to be able to do. So if you can see the change is where the sidewalk is kind of shifted down a little bit. Within that sidewalk, it will also have those flashing lights, the same as what's at the high school. And also within those lights, we're going to have beacons, if you will. So there'll be detectors further down. So if you're coming from the Thompson side, so you're not going to come right up on the crosswalk. There'll be a flash. There'll be something telling you that, crosswalk is coming up. So we're hoping that will kind of help. The sidewalks will be all granite curbing. And if you can go around Miller's variety of the sidewalk comes over a little bit. The goal on that, as we all know, when you are heading downtown and you turn on Davis Street, everybody just kind of cuts through there and goes in to get gas. Now what they're going to have to do, they're literally going to have to make a left-hand turn and then turn again to come into that area. So we're looking for a little safer passage as far as for folks to come by. And again, Amanda's here tonight as well if you've got any other questions. This is all part of the grant that we've been working with. So now the time has come for us to start doing the work.
I know there's been much discussion on solar versus regular
Yes.
LED. Why don't we see what's on that?
We are looking at going solar.
Is that where the direction that the committee's actually leaning at this time? That's good.
Yes.
So good. I don't know. The last meeting I saw, if Norm was sitting here, it would be a different story. The liaison is not here tonight, but I'm glad there's no more leaning to answer that. So by all means.
Yeah, and we have quite a few committee members here as well. So.
And the discussion with the second crosswalk, did that?
What you see in front of you is the plan. That's the final design.
Okay, good. I just needed to hear that because I know there was much to do about that discussion in front of Aroma Joe's, and that was a volleyball that really got batted around a lot as well, too. How about the landscaping piece? Is that still something that's further down the list?
On the landscaping piece, as you can see, we don't have anything over on Aroma Joe's side, which will interfere with any of that. And as you can see, there are landscaping across on the opposite side.
And is that
the greens and the green space will be there.
Okay, that's still Nate's call, where it's his property, or how's that play in now?
Well, that will be working with, yes.
With, for what, because I don't know how much the council's actually familiar with some of that in that regard, is Nate Miller has actually offered to do the maintenance in that green space area as part of this arrangement. He's been working with the committee on that topic. Anything else from that meeting that's actually been hashed out that I forgot? I know I'm probably just briefly paraphrasing this. Anyone?
With Davis Street. One of the things that was brought up within the committee was Davis Street, and you know how you see it now along 196 where the state's gone and they've done like the little rumble strip. So defining that sidewalk, you know, as being a pedestrian way of putting on a little rumble strip. So we put that in as an alternate bid as part of the project.
Thank you, I remember that.
Yes.
That was also brought up too.
She's talking.
The other piece was the committee discussed if the bids came in favorable, what we'd like to do is to be able to purchase a couple of additional of the solar lampposts that will be here, because when the Main Street intersection gets improved, you know, they're going to come through and put it into place after we've constructed this. But if we have additional lights to continue up to the intersection or beyond, depending on what kind of funding, how it works out after bids, then that would really help kind of tie this right into the improvements that are going to happen at that Main Street intersection.
Now, that MDOT project, Ryan, I know it covers some of this. Where does what we're looking at actually pick up and that project kick in, just to give me a layman's terms? Don't, that's out there in the at least 2018 discussion? Okay.
Our
Okay.
goal is to connect those two together, so there is no
Right,
gap.
right.
Yeah.
I remember the committee,
And
I
we-
thought I knew the answer to the question. I appreciate you saying it on record, sir.
Yes, and we have expressed it to them as well, so they, you know, they have seen our plan and know what we're doing. So, you know, we hope to continue that working relationship with them.
Again, I know I'm monopolizing.
Yeah, I have a question. Okay, I see a note here about proposed concrete sidewalk. Would that be the entire sidewalk along both sides would be concrete?
Yes,
Okay, that'd be a nice upgrade from pavement.
yes.
Sorry. It's also, I just want to interject too, because it's also the sidewalk where it's raised, but also where it crosses
And those
at
curb cuts
grade
also would be
That's why
concrete.
it's shown as one continuous.
Right.
Some of it will be raised curbed sidewalk, and other will be at grade across the entrances, but it maintains a continuous pedestrian.
Right, it makes a clear
Right
marking
away.
there, and you know, it connects the whole side of the road along together.
And you can see that up Davis Street as well. So if you look at Davis Street, it's the same thing. So, you know, the sidewalk with the raised one goes down, and then we become flush with the entrance going in.
So it doesn't look like a sea of pavement there. You have
Correct.
a clear marking of where it is.
Any other questions? So what we're looking for is basically to be able to go out to bid, to be able to do all the concrete and lighting work that you're seeing here? Is it going to be multiple bids or one bid for the entire project? How do you
It'll
envision
be
it?
one bid,
One contractor overseeing all of it?
which, you know, depending on the contract itself, may have subs underneath
Right.
them.
But one primary, how they deal with it's on their end. No other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Thank you, Tracy.
6-0.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-24, the Lisbon Community Garden Ad Hoc Committee.
All right, you set the volleyball rolling, and Mark, you
Sure.
chime in.
We have some great volunteers that have started work on a community garden as of last year. And what we'd like to do is have council appoint them as an ad hoc committee so that they'll be under the umbrella of the rec department committee. So that's all we're asking you to do here tonight. Typically on ad hoc committees, you don't appoint members. They're all volunteers, and whoever wants to join that committee can. If it's a standing committee, you would, appoint the committee members. But if you would like to appoint committee members, I can get a list at the next meeting for you, and I do have a list, but typically you don't. And Mark can talk about it a little more. In your packet on page 41 is the mission statement of the Lisbon Community Garden, and they're doing a lot for the community and for Waco. And there's also garden beds that can be rented for anybody who wants to rent them and grow their own vegetables and so forth. And Judy is also here. She's a big contributor of this Lisbon Community Garden.
Judy, why don't you come on up and stand with Mark? If there are any questions he can't answer, you can jump right in. Yes, you do. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Go for it, Mark.
It actually started in,
Oh, both you guys. Go for it. Go for
it
it.
actually started in 2015. Mark dragged me into a meeting from the University of Maine Extension Service to, what was it called, Mark?
It was a cooperative extension, University of Maine branch down in Lisbon Falls. And they're affiliated with 4-H, and they have a lot of volunteers, a lot of master gardeners that are very into this kind of thing. And Lisbon didn't have a community garden. We were rich with flower gardens, but nothing with vegetable gardens. And so what this group did was they went on a mission to look at other towns, other cities that have thriving vegetable gardens. And they benchmarked pretty much everything that they did, didn't recreate the wheel. They brought it to Lisbon and came up with a bunch of guidelines and plans. And we have about a 1 acre, a little bit over an acre lot behind the old high school, grammar school, that was transformed in 2015 into the gardens. And we have a combination, as Diane said, between private and public gardens, plots, some of them for rent, but the committee has really done a lot of work coming up with guidelines, and the ball's rolling right now. We're hoping that the council will recognize this as an ad hoc committee to move forward.
So you have an established group already working?
Yes.
Has it felt that we actually need to appoint anybody to this committee? I'm okay with the ad hoc status if you guys are. That's why I was asking. I don't think we need to tell her who needs to be on her committee.
Some people may not know who you are, Judy. I don't know if you introduced yourself or not.
Last name, we have our Sun Journal person sitting right here. So
Judy Arledge. I live at
Thank
6
you.
Amalfi Street.
thank you, Judy.
My name's Mark Stevens. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you. There are 8 raised beds that can be rented. We had the original were 4 raised beds that were, I think the Boy Scouts is what I understand.
Ian Clavette.
Huh?
Ian Clavette, yes.
Started it years ago, and anyway, these 4 raised beds have been just left dormant for I don't know how many years, and we weeded them all out. In the after-school program at the rec center, kids came and we planted vegetables and stuff for the first year, and it has expanded now to 8 raised beds. And last fall we had most of the ground turned over so that we can now plant more vegetables to donate to food banks in the area.
Perfect.
Great work.
Have no issue with this. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second. We got it. All in favor?
Was that Mark once? Did the seconds? No, Chris.
Chris. Thank you, Mark.
Order passed 6-0.
Judy. Next item?
Order 2017-25, dispatch consolidation discussion. This was moved
Yes, it was.
to the 221 agenda if there were no objections. So the next item is other business, council committee reports.
I can do a brief. I don't want to take Mr. Albert's, but I know the school committee met and it was in the paper, so just to give a little more background on that. The budget as published is 1.122 more than last year. The primary portion of that is the Gartley Street expansion that was not reflected in last year's budget figures when we went to the referendum. Just for the listening public, what you'll have is roughly $800,000 that's actually going through the Gartley Street that's actually being made up in other line items from the way that they got their budget adopted. This budget is 70% of it, just like any other budget, is salaries and benefits. The intent is to actually keep programs and services intact. There are no revenues built into anything at this point because the lion's share of that is a report called the ED 279 due from the state. With the state budget proposal, there are no less than 48 changes to the funding that the governor is proposing. So it's too soon to be able to tell, but at least they have a beginning figure associated with that. The other piece of it is the audit, knowing where they stand with unassigned fund balance, their entitlement figures, and tracking gym proceeds that I spoke with Diane earlier in the week about, just know where they are, starting with those kind of items as well too. So Mr. Abbott will have more in months coming. Next. Who's up?
You.
They meet tomorrow night. Keep moving.
The water department is supposed to meet tomorrow night, but they moved the meeting to the 27th, and I believe by then they're going to have a final list of candidates for water commissioner. That's pretty much it for the water department right now.
Thank you, sir. LDC, we had a presentation tonight. I think hit enough of that, so moving right along.
Conservation Commission, well, I was told that I need to talk to Mark Stevens about that. Is that correct, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, our next meeting is February 14th.
February 14th, okay.
Recreation?
We met Monday. Pretty much it was a rundown of the playground committee and what their plans are, and budgetary and gardens, and
Recreation type
I'm
stuff.
trying to go back through. The next meeting's what, March?
First Monday in March.
In county budget, there's nothing to report on that. Next item.
Is town manager's report.
I've started the budget meetings with my department heads, as Mark alluded to earlier. I'm meeting with him tomorrow. Just a reminder that next Tuesday on the 14th at 6 p.m. is our sewer study workshop, and all the associates will be here to discuss the different sewer studies that they've been working on. And the only other thing I have is I received a letter in the mail today from Community Concepts. They're going to be applying for funding through USDA Rural Development for housing for low-income people, and what they're doing is they would like, as part of the process of applying for the funds, they like to have sample letters from different communities of letters of support, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to send one in on behalf of the town of Lisbon, supporting their efforts to get funding for low-income family housing.
Here in the state and town statistics with the amount that actually qualify in here, I don't see any issue with that. Does anybody else?
Okay.
By all means.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Moving right to the Siemens report.
Yes, Siemens Energy Audit.
Hello, everyone. On January 18th, we met with Siemens. They presented their first annual report on the energy savings for the previous period. That period is from December 15 through November 2016, and summarized all the facility improvement measures which were part of the energy conservation project that was completed in November of 2015. Essentially, the performance contract guaranteed $40,672 in annual cost savings for period 1. At the same time, they also included in this report the discussion on the guaranteed construction savings. And basically, that was savings that we would realize during the period as things were installed. Like the lighting was installed first, so we started realizing savings before, the substantial completion of the project, and then their formal verification process started. They guaranteed $10,762 in construction savings. And for this period, the total cost savings were $43,592, so a little over, or right around $3,000 in excess savings. But the construction cost savings was only $8,714, so it was a little less than their target. And the main reason for that is the boilers, some of the boilers at the treatment plant didn't go online until basically November, so they didn't get to realize any savings during the previous heating season. So in summary, the total guaranteed savings for period 1, including construction savings, was $51,434. Was the guaranteed result. The realized savings was $52,306, so it was in excess of $872 in savings basically through that first period, including the construction savings. Like I said, the biggest miss was really that construction period, and that was, we felt that too. I mean, it just seemed like every project that happens takes forever, and that one took forever too. So it's pretty much the gist of it. There was a lot of details that were included in the report, and I believe that those were handed out. I'm happy to try to answer any questions, but that's basically the gist of that report.
You are Ryan Layton.
Yes, sir, Ryan Layton.
Good man, Chris. Is there an outlook for what we can hope for next year's budget?
In the,
Do they have, and then do they?
In the well, I actually printed out the contract, and it had been so long, I don't even know if I ever read the full contract because it wasn't signed. It was signed by the manager, but it spells it out for the 19 periods, basically for the next 19 years. And next year's anticipated savings are supposed to be $33,589 in energy and utility savings, and $8,303 in operational savings. And if I understand the operational savings, those are mostly associated with the lights, because we basically replaced all the light fixtures, all the bulbs, and they have a longer lifespan than what was in there, so you don't have to each year buy those, and they figure all that out. So the total anticipated savings next year is supposed to be right around $41,892. And if they're on par for this past year, they'll still be a little bit better.
Not familiar with anything that's going out 19 years in that. Is it pretty much static throughout the course of that, or does it go up and down and fluctuate throughout that time period, Ryan?
The total savings maxes out, I guess the highest is right around period the 12th year. Then it kind of drops off. I mean, and that's at $56,000 for the year, and then it drops off a little bit down to $55 for the end of it, and it fluctuates again. And basically the operational savings, they go away after period 12. They don't account for that in the original calculations. The total savings we're supposed to realize over the course of the basically 20 years is right around $944,000, and that's why we did the project all along. Was that helped to pay for it, because we paid to Androscoggin Bank, I believe, an annual cost for the contract associated with the financing and so on and so forth.
Any other questions of Ryan? Is there a capital outlay that we have to have in year 2 that we should be expecting in your budget as well to make the savings
Not
they're looking?
not for this.
Not for
Not
this.
associated with this, no.
Okay, the other
That was, all-
projects,
I mean, basically all the capital improvements happened up front.
okay.
And that
We
was-
needed to do this to be able to get the revenue stream over the time.
Right.
That's what I was assuming you were saying.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Public Works Director.
Yes, sir.
Bonus points.
I'm hammering on everybody tonight,
You're good. You're good.
just a little.
Next item, Twyla.
Audience participation for new items.
Does anybody have any? Seeing none, moving right along.
Counselor Communications.
Anybody? Moving right along.
And the next item is
Before you go on to the next item,
He gave me the look. It was.
I would like to say thank you to the Public Works crews that have been out cleaning up the snow and are going to be out again probably tomorrow and again on the weekend. So I want to make sure they understand that we really appreciate all the work they put into that, and thank you guys for being out there on those nights when I wouldn't want to be out there.
And hopefully the public has some patience.
Next item, Twyla.
Appointments. Order 2017-26, Recreation Committee. You have one application, Heather Dooley.
That was the one, I was looking for those briefly. Is that application in the
No,
packet?
It's not.
no, we don't put those in anymore.
I didn't think so.
You can look, but it's not in there.
Trying to remember where I know her from. Stand right up there, Mark. Please.
Give you a little bit of background on that.
I know her from somewhere, so I don't remember where I place her.
Mark Stevens, yeah, from the Parks and Recreation Department. Heather is actually from South Carolina, and she married into Lisbon. Her husband is Mr. Dooley, and the father is one of the coordinators for the Laco Food Clothing Bank. That's how I know her from. And she's been part of the playground committee and has expressed interest in joining the rec committee. She lives in Lisbon Falls, I think on High Street. I don't know what that's all about.
That's good. You gave us more, so thank you. Appreciate that.
Phone number.
Sounds like she's good help.
Yeah, she's really good and smart.
I need,
And ambitious.
I'll make the
I'll
motion.
throw that in.
I need a second.
I'll
And
second.
ambition? So you've actually talked to her. Good. All in favor?
Appointment passed, 6-0.
She's hired, Mark. Thank you. You rolled with it well, though. I appreciate that. Next item, please.
Order 2017-27, the Lisbon Development Committee. Do you need a list of names?
Oh,
List is here.
I have the list, and I would say amen to all of them.
Yes.
Basically, all we're doing is just the development committee went into effect, and we're just taking the folks from the Route 196 over. And then there was also a couple of new applications that came in to be part of the committee.
Who are the new ones?
Cheryl Haggerty
Eric.
and Eric Matevia.
There's still room in the van? Always room in the van. I know that. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second. Thank you. All in favor?
Order
Thank you.
passed, 7-0. 6-0.
Thank all of you.
Before we go to the next item, I need to, before we actually go to executive session, need 5 minutes so we can get a question asked for Twyla.
All right, so we'll take a motion to go into executive session, just recess for a few minutes before you go in?
Yes, I need to take a 5-minute recess, and we will be coming back to vote on something, correct?
Okay.
So I need that motion, please.
Make the motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Order passed.
5-minute recess.
Let me just announce your executive session. It's 1 MRSA, Section 4056E, consultations with legal counsel, and Section 6A, personnel matters. And the time is 8 o'clock. So are you going to do your executive session in here after?
No,
We-
we'll
the
actually,
recess,
we'll
or
go,
you
we'll go in here because we'll come,
Go into the next room.
okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go next door for the executive, be there in 5 minutes, and
And no motion here after that.
there will be a vote here.
There will be a vote here after?
There will be a vote here afterwards.
Okay. Right. Let me turn the cameras off.
Y'all need to stay here for 5 minutes?
No. 5 minutes, we'll be in the conference room next door. Yeah, but it's more of a lunge. I could.
No, that's for me to stand up and stretch, that's all.
Okay.
That's all I want.
They're still gonna look at the numbers. It's like my buyers. It's like, why would I move to Lisbon? Look how high the taxes are compared to this other home. That's exactly the same.
Waiting for one more.
Yeah. I don't know. Why do I want to pay $300 a month?
Cassie, can I have that when you're done so that I can
Yep.
add it to these and I'm going to email it to.
All right. By motion to come back out of executive session, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That's all you. You're on
Yeah.
cue.
Okay.
Read your first motion, please.
First motion is motion that the town council set a public hearing date to amend and reinstate the Kelly Park TIF on Tuesday, February 21st, 2017.
I need a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next motion.
Make the motion that the town manager, with advice of the town attorney, is authorized to negotiate the terms of property easements for the Falls Streetscape Project, the CDBG downtown grant, and to take all actions and execute all documents necessary to accept and enter into the property easements on behalf of the town for the following properties: Nate Miller, Miller's Block, Richard George for Roma Joe's, and Maine Department of Transportation.
Second?
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next.
Make a motion that the town manager, with advice of the town attorney, is authorized to negotiate winter maintenance easements with the owners of Emma Lane, and the town manager is authorized to take all actions and execute all documents necessary to accept and enter into the winter maintenance easements on behalf of the town.
Second?
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
And the last motion, motion that the town manager is authorized to consent to a re-advance of funds by Bath Savings to Costumes of Maine LLC under an existing subordination and standstill agreement with the town.
Second?
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
That is everything we needed to do for tonight? Final motion?
Make the
Motion to
motion.
adjourn?
Second?
He beat you to it, Chris.
All right.
Let's go.
My name's Chris
Motion
Brunel,
passed,
Farwell Street,
0.
Lisbon Center.